Sure.
Ladies
and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to this week's episode of the TWC Show. Very special episode. Of course, we got our regular here, a good old friend, Neesin from THS Wrestling. What's going on, bro? You're back 2 weeks in a row?
I am back. I am back to your fans' demise, I guess, or chagrin. They don't like me.
Have you got any more DMs?
Yeah, I have.
Oh,
and
wow.
again, they're not to the favor of what I keep requesting. But you know, hey, it's all fair and
what are these bad DMs? Like, what's going on?
People say that I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to wrestling. Maybe because I speak highly and I say that the women have saved at least WWE and professional wrestling for the last 6 years. They say I don't know what I'm talking about. So.
And if you're not on the Patreon watching this right now, you probably heard another voice because we have another very special guest here as well. A host for the Washington Wizards and the Washington Mystics. Is that right?
Yeah.
Look at that. Almost botched that one in the intro, guys.
I enjoy long walks on the beach. I'm a Sirius XM radio host, Maryland alum.
There you go.
You know, fan of the Darby Allin fan club, the Darby Hive. We can keep going.
Keep on going. We got Britt Waters here with us, guys. It's been a while on the TWC show, but we finally got another woman on here to give us the women's perspective because it's lacking in the professional wrestling bubble in my mind personally. So when I saw Britt giving her opinions and thoughts on professional wrestling and everything that's happening, a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about today, because I've seen your thoughts on Roman Reigns' theme, Eva Marie's return. Check out on Instagram, guys. She gives her thoughts on her reels about these things, but we'll talk about them today as well. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel like I made it in life.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor for me to have you on here, but that's very nice of you to say.
No, I'm honored.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. But there was a ton to talk about. But before we were on the air, we were having a really interesting conversation because we were talking about having women's perspectives on wrestling and whatnot. And you brought up, before we start talking about my beard and my hair, for the people that are going to watch this video and catch that clip.
It's a great beard.
You're not going to catch that clip. But before we went on the air, you were talking about men's perspectives on women's wrestling and how sometimes it can bother you. Can you elaborate on that more? Like, why does it bother you? Because the question I was going to ask you next, but I said we should save it for the air, is what is like the line of talking about women's wrestling when it comes to men? Like, what is it that bothers you and what doesn't bother you?
Oh, all of it bothers me. Leave us alone. No, I'm just kidding. I think wrestling is interesting because like you said, I'm a broadcaster. I've worked in entertainment and I've worked in sports, but wrestling is this weird place where what the fans and content creators say actually influence the product. So I think we have to be cognizant of that. And if you are going to be critical, especially of a woman, be critical of her character, but leave her personal life alone. Do not talk about a professional athlete's body. I think that goes for men too. Like, especially if you're at home behind your computer looking like whatever, like stop making these comments, you know, unless you have something to back it up, you know, and it just bothers me because it happens all the time.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Mm-hmm. I do think what I see happening a lot, the personal life thing for sure. And I think that wrestling fans are a lot more critical of women's wrestlers when it comes to botches and injuries.
Mm-hmm.
When the men botch, we somehow just like let it slide most of the time, especially if we like them. If they injure someone, we let it slide, especially if we like them. I'm not going to drop names of Seth Rollins, but there's been people that have injured lots of people.
Whoa.
Sorry for the sirens. I live in DC.
That's okay. It adds character to the show. This is a more like unprofessional, just we go with this show. You can swear or do whatever you want. But when it comes to women's wrestling, like anyone does anything, and they're like crucified for the rest of their career. Sasha hurt Paige. We're gonna hear about that for the end of time.
Yep.
Naya's a different story, but you know, like she gets it harder than almost anybody. And do you guys agree with that? How do you feel about that, Neesin? Do you think we're a little bit too critical on women compared to men?
I think you are too critical on the Friday Night Savior like that. I don't understand why would you say that about Seth Rollins?
I'm a Seth Rollins fan. You can't deny that. Like we let a lot slide with him.
Yeah, I can't say that because I don't look at it either way. I don't look at it as far as Sasha injuring Paige. That is a freak accident. That could have happened on any other bump or any any other maneuver, whatever the case may be. It literally could have happened her walking out of like the room and slipping on a banana peel in the morning. Same thing with Sting and Seth Rollins. Like that was bound to happen. Hence why on this show and on THS, I said, like, when I see these injuries, it's not that I don't want to see them wrestle again, is that I care about their health, right? That's going to be in the back of my mind when Daniel Bryan came back, etc. Like, we didn't talk about Sheamus, how Daniel Bryan got a concussion or gave Daniel Bryan a concussion when he, right after he won the world title or Intercontinental title. All these things are happening. It's not ballet. It's a part of the sport. So I will never blame even Nia Jax. I would never blame. Okay, listen, and I will say this. I love
how that one's like the touchy one. Everyone goes, maybe that one's true.
I'm not going hard for Nia on this one.
Okay, so I'm going to stick up for Nia because on the Dana Brooke thing, where she over rotated, and that was not Nia's fault. Like Dana Brooke literally over rotated on was like her new move or whatever. It was like the one hand power slam or whatever the case she did. She just over rotated. And again, it's not ballet, but it sucks because it's another thing on Nia. Now, when Nia came down on what's her name's face, I can't remember. Like she did a leg drop onto O'Girl and gave her a concussion. I can't remember who it was.
I don't remember.
Yeah, her leg. Yeah,
there's been so many we don't even remember anymore.
That I was like, ooh, that's a little targeting thing. But yeah, man, I just think it really sucks that we label women as all they do is botch wrestling. Like I see those in the Twitter sections, and I'm just like, bro, have you watched AEW? Like, have you watched PWG? Have you been to any other wrestling organization? Like these people are performing. This is live takes, and they're performing at the highest caliber. And yes, you've been blessed to watch WWE, WWF of like, one little time, but have you went to house shows? I've seen botches at house shows. I've
always had the standpoint of I try not to be that guy. Like I'll tell you if I think a match is good or boring. Like that's something I'm allowed to say, but I'll never try to critique the match. Like I'll never be like, oh, this part was good or that like I don't know. I've never laced my boots and tried to wrestle. I can critique if the match was good or bad from my opinion. And also I love talking about storylines and characters because I feel like I can talk about that all day. But when it comes to like matches, I never try to be that person. How about you? Do you think the women are too critiqued when it comes to their wrestling, Britt?
Yes, absolutely. Especially because it's not really the historic line of what you're used to seeing, like I think this is the best women's wrestling has ever been if we want to talk about technicality, and maybe not so much for the men. They're comparing it to, what's the best men's match you've ever seen? It's probably not within the last 10 years. But when you talk about women's wrestling, it probably is within the last 10 years. So it's more pressure there because it's like, you guys need to step up. And like, they're not looking back into history and seeing these amazing matches. They are setting the tone. They are setting the bar. So it's a different type of way that you can kind of critique things. And it's kind of too soon to tell.
I agree. And there's a lot that happened with women's wrestling this week we'll get to, but you have something to say, Neesin?
Yeah, that was a very interesting point. And I like about when's the last best men's match? It hasn't been in the last 10 years. And I would even add to that, it wasn't the most technical match. I bet you if whenever match they name, it probably wasn't the most technical match. Like these women are but it's just like, I know you work for the Mystics. It's just like the WNBA, right? Like the WNBA, I think LeBron said, he was like, if you don't love, or Dwayne Wade said it actually, he was like, if you don't watch the WNBA, you really don't love basketball, the technique of basketball.
Thank you.
Because it's pure. It's pure that's why I really love the WNBA, because it's just pure basketball. It's the art. It's not flat. Like it's literally the art form of basketball. And that's what I look at women's wrestling as, the art form of professional wrestling that happens to get over.
Because it's in its early stages in a way, for sure. Yeah, but speaking of women's wrestling, and you brought up the idea of like sometimes, the wrestling fans will base women's wrestling more on their looks and their body and whatnot. And we got a lot of that this week with Eva Marie's video package with her big I found a way to segue that. I don't know how, but I did. But Eva Marie is back. Now, before we get into the Eva Marie opinions really quickly, there's one thing I do want to say for those listening to this. all of you out there that have been going off and saying they released the Iconics and Mickie James for Eva Marie. I'm not trying to defend Eva Marie. I mean, like, she just unblocked me like 2 days ago, like just after 6 years unblocked me.
Can we get into that?
Okay, well, yeah, for sure. So 6 years ago in 2015, when I did have no idea what my page was, and I was a secret Bruce Wayne Batman guy where nobody knew who I was, my identity or anything, and I was trying to, grow and get followers. I found a video of Eva Marie on YouTube on a Mexican or Spanish game show doing a strip tease on a chair pre-WWE, like water falling on her strip tease. Like, it's on YouTube in the middle of a game show, and I posted it, and then she blocked me. And so I got blocked by a couple of people, and they were all following me. So she was following me, saw it, and then blocked me. And for 6 years, I was blocked. And then I commented on her husband's Instagram post when you posted about her return, just like, yo, let's go. And then I was like, hey, can you tell her to unblock me? And then he like said, yeah, for sure. And I thought he was being sarcastic, but then he actually got to unblock me. Wow. And then they both followed me, and she's commenting on my stuff. And I'm like, oh, now I want to work.
I love that. She's using your clout, bro.
But I did apologize. It is true. Because they said, let's collab. They did, in the DM, they're like, oh, we'll find ways to collaborate and stuff. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she's coming back to the wrestling world, right? And I'm like the wrestling bubble person in there,
Yeah. Did she make a like, was it like a men's maid? Like, did she like, because I feel like that's a dumb reason to block somebody off of something that you actually
I genuinely went in there because I'm older now, and I realized when I was like 23, 24, I'm not going to be like I was young and dumb, but I technically kind of was young and dumb. Like, I wouldn't do that today, realistically. Also, like, I didn't know who was watching my page back then. I was secretive. I was like, nobody knew who I was. Like, it was just my attitude era, technically. But like, I'm like, and I went and I messaged her. I'm like, listen, I know what I posted, and she probably didn't want that out there because she just got hired by the WWE. It was showing up on TV, and here I am posting strip teases on Instagram for everybody to see when I didn't know what type of influence I actually had back then, and I still don't think I have that much influence. And I'm like, I knew I fucked up right after I got blocked. I probably shouldn't have posted that. I now have the knowledge, and I'll say it, and even though I'll probably get in trouble, I now have the knowledge that a lot of people that work at the WWE are walking on eggshells, and me doing stuff like that isn't really benefiting them. So I apologized. And then I think that kind of made things a little bit better. And they're like, no, that was very classy of you, like, for sure, like, da-da-da-da. So
that was nice.
But yeah, she's back, guys.
She's back.
And a lot of people have a lot of
big fan
different opinions on her.
But so what you just said regarding the releases, this is my thing. Timing is everything. And this was not her fault. This is WWE either one, trying to trigger us on purpose, or two, just having no cognizance of timing. Like, you just had the releases, and then you're going to debut her, so that's all people are going to think about.
That was the problem. The timing was horrible. I thought that when I started getting all the comments,
that was the only problem. Come on now.
Okay, what are the other problems? For me,
that was it. That's all.
My first impression was, oddly enough, I saw her leg, and I'm like, oh, that's Eva Marie. I don't know how that happened, but
okay, she gonna block you again after this. If you recognize her from the leg, that's already an issue. If anybody recognizes me by my leg, they getting blocked. I'm just letting you know.
And then when she showed up, the first thing I thought was like, and I've said this about myself in the Wrestling Classic. I'm like, I've come to a point where I don't really care what happens in wrestling no more. I just care how people are going to react to it. Like, I get a kick out of how other people react from things. That's what I've become. Like, everyone's like, how do you feel? I'm like, I don't, like, obviously I like things, I dislike things, but I don't even care anymore. I just get excited to see how people are reacting on my page, on Twitter. Like, that's what I get a kick out of.
You like us being triggered.
Yeah. And the moment I saw her, I'm like, oh, everyone's going to hate this. Everyone's going to hate this. I love it because everybody's going to hate this.
Look, that's why I loved Eva Marie in the first place, because everyone hated her. And I was like, oh, this is really great. Like, she could really be something. And then she left. And then it was like, and then she left. Like, she was like, I'm out of here. And then it was even one of those things of like, she was nowhere near professional wrestling, and people still mention her in professional wrestling. And that's how you know, like, oh, you have a grip of this audience, right? Like, you have a hold on it. And the minute I seen that, well, the first thing I actually thought of, I was like, they really played Liv Morgan. How you play Liv Morgan like that? Liv Morgan in the tub, and then she tweeted it. She said, bathtub Liv Morgan is iconic. And I was like, abso-fucking-lutely, because
no.
I would say this. I would say this because it gave Liv Morgan something, and we all know how talented Liv Morgan can be with giving something, and that gave her something. And I felt like Vince or Michael Hayes have been trying to bestow this gimmick on everyone until Carmella had it, Emma had it, Lana had it,
Liv,
and it's Liv had it until they did some like weird half-baked, like that was just weird. But then it went right back to the person that it was supposed to be. It was Eva Marie. And so that all came about when I seen, like, when they revealed who she was. Because I'm like, is this at first I thought it was Carmella. That's why I was like, oh, like they're giving her vignettes so they could debut her on Raw when she goes to Corey Graves. Like, great. Like they're gonna move her over. They're gonna move her over and put her in the spotlight. This is awesome.
The floor is yours. I feel like you have lots of opinions right now.
I want to hear it.
This is trash. Everything y'all are saying is trash, and I'm sorry because I like you guys. But like, in what world are we gonna see Sheamus in a bubble bath? In what world are we gonna see Apollo Crews standing on top of a truck? In what world are we gonna see like
saw Bad Bunny on a truck?
Not standing in a tight dress. I am so.
I mean, Apollo Crews has a whole new accent. Things happen.
Apollo Crews did go to Wakanda and get an accent out of nowhere, so that was.
And he's got a guy that got his costume from Party City.
Okay,
like Halloween.
All right, cool. Put him in a bubble bath, and I will be happy. Like, this is crazy. And if anybody was to not get this gimmick, it can't be Eva Marie. Like, if you're really going to play into as much as people hate her, then like go to the reason why people allegedly hate her. I think people like love to hate her. So like put her in a promo in an actual ring, like training. Give her something different. Be like, hey, look what everything that I've been doing. Instead of talking about it, show us. Show her in these movie roles. Show her cashing her checks from her little Instagram modeling career. Show her in the gym getting it. And that's what people are mad about. People are mad because she found success and really didn't need WWE. So show the stuff that triggers people, not hot girl in front of car, which anybody can do. Like,
you got a point.
I'm so tired of it because they would never put a man out there like that.
Because if they showed her in a ring training and in the gym training and then also doing her modeling, and that's the if she was who she actually is, if they portrayed Eva Marie as Eva Marie in the vignette and showed her in the ring, because that's the biggest thing. Everyone's like, well, hopefully she can wrestle now.
She guys, newsflash, guys, she's been training for a very long time.
And we
know that, but the promo showed none of that. The promo showed hot girl in front of fast car. Like, we're so tired of seeing this. You would not disrespect anyone else in the business that way. Not a man.
That's true.
I definitely agree with you. I would say it's very surface level of them looking, because if you go to her Instagram, you basically see pictures like that, right? You see her being her hot girl Instagram model self, and they were saying, oh, let's just make you this hot girl Instagram model self that could potentially beat people's ass in a ring. And
Isn't that what everyone else's gimmick is?
That's what I was just
Mandy
about to
Rose
say.
Is doing?
And Lana was doing that.
No, absolutely.
Oh, Mandy's another one on that list. Mandy's another one on that list where they tried to make the diva.
But I'm saying Mandy Rose also has all of these accomplishments and weightlifting things that are never portrayed. We just get to see hot girl flirting with Otis. What?
And if you want to know more about that, guys, check out Neeson's interview with Mandy Rose on that #show on YouTube, because she talks about all of her accomplishments outside of wrestling, which actually made me, after watching that interview, actually focus on her wrestling more. And I was like, yo, she is good. Her striking is better. Her knees and her
why wouldn't WWE want to show that? But they decide to show hot girl Mandy. Ooh, I'm gonna cut your hair. What? You can buy new hair tomorrow. Don't get me started. They fumbled Eva and they fumbled her hard.
Running back,
they fumbled all the names that we mentioned. Like they literally.
Anytime they've tried this gimmick, it hasn't worked. The closest it was working was Carmella, but she's so on and off of TV that they couldn't run along with it.
They botched Carmella so hard that
the best thing we got out of that was Reginald.
No, I know.
And that's the thing.
I actually enjoyed the matches against Sasha personally.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Look, I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Reginald in those matches. That's pretty much all we got out of it.
But now, like Reginald, the reason why I don't like the Reginald character was because they didn't know where to play. They took him from Carmella, placed him in the middle of this of this historic WrestleMania feud that only had a month build.
They realized they messed up.
You go back to that where she announced she picked her, and Reginald steps in the middle of them. the moment where you have not only you having
your Rock Hogan moment, not to compare exactly
your
to
Rock
that moment,
right? Mm-hmm. You have that moment, and you have Reginald in the middle of it. So now they either don't use that footage or they always cut around it, and it's like a weird cut. Like they don't use the center one like face to face. They use the one where the shot behind Sasha and looking at Bianca, and it's just like those little things to me. I'm like, Vince always books for history. Like that's his thing. It's like, what are we gonna do 20 years from now? You hear Triple H say it, you hear Bruce Prichard say it. It's always about what are we doing? How is it gonna look 20 years from now? So I don't understand what their mindset was, having Reginald first of all play with Sasha and then get like beat up by Carmella and Sasha, and then now he's with Nia Jax, and then you have what's his name? Yeah, Garza. Like it's that.
You're
I
so
don't
triggered
understand.
by that. Like
I am.
Nothing.
We
really got so much history out of that without that little.
No, but that's I look. I damn near was in tears at the event. That's not even it. The fact is that it could have been deeper and better, and they tried to hot shot it within less than a month, and it only
wasn't good for sure.
Yeah,
but
it only worked because of the two women artists and characters.
And I think we know
against everything else.
Backlash, it's coming back.
They fumbled that too. They fumbled everything around that.
Thank you.
They had a moment to really, if they were thinking 20 years from now, like just as a Black woman, our history in WWE, where is it? It's if you don't bring things up, and I said this about Mark Henry in my wrestling opinion, if you don't remind people of stuff, it dies. And our history is never brought up. So you're telling me you have two Black women main eventing, and at the kickoff table, you didn't bring Jazz back to talk about it. You didn't bring Jackie back to talk about it. You had Naomi sitting in the background and didn't have her talk. You didn't bring Black female content creators in to talk about it. They fumbled the bag so hard. Think about if you really think that there's a resurgence of women's wrestling. All the little girls that are tuning in the last 10 years because of the Bellas, what have they seen Black women do outside of Naomi? What have they seen us do? Because you don't celebrate all of the things that we do. We celebrate 316 Day every year and fumble the bag on that. We celebrate HBK every year. We don't ever bring up Black female history in WWE, and Black females are the ones that started pro wrestling for women anyway. And it's just like, to see this moment happen and pass by without celebrating our alums, it's a slap in the face.
And I came across Jazz's retirement on Impact, and I had to like do the research myself to realize, she was on 2 WrestleMania cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and who would know? Because they don't.
They never really talk about it. The spotlight's always on Trish. You forget who Trish's opponents are. It's always just on Trish, and I was like, that's kind of a bummer.
And Jazz was the one to not just be great and be Black and exist in that space, but to highlight it. She's like, the bitch is back and the bitch is Black. Every time she came out, she told you it. She wasn't just like being great and being Black in the back.
She never conformed to what a diva was back then either, which doesn't get enough appreciation, because a lot of the other women during that time were trying to conform to what a diva was during that period.
Right.
I'll even go to limit and say Beth was a powerhouse, strong woman. She's a unique and own thing, but she even tried to conform a little bit to what a diva was of that period.
Jackie was Jackie. She was kicking ass with her titties out, and it was beautiful.
Jackie was whipping people's asses since WCW. So she,
and was still giving diva vibes.
Jackie reminded me of like a auntie that would come over, and if you was in trouble, she will beat your ass as well, but then want to sit down and like watch her favorite show with you. Like that's how every time I seen Jackie on TV, and again, it's about representation, right? I was able to feel that as a kid. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, I know this person. Like this is like my auntie. Like yeah.
And we don't hot doing it. We're still like, ooh.
Yeah, right. And it's the bathing suit you come out, you'd be like, yes. Like, okay. Yeah, but
and she still look good at like whatever age she is. She still look bomb. I was looking at her Instagram. I was like, okay.
We just named 2. Like 2 in the Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era. Like just 2. That's it. And then we fast forward, we have Naomi, Sasha, Bianca.
In the last 10 years, they have not celebrated a Black woman historically in WWE
Yeah, you're right.
Which is crazy
for anyone else.
Which is crazy because one of them has one of the best matches they ever had in the last 5 or 6 years.
I mean, did they? Not really. They didn't try to do anything special with Alicia Fox.
They did not.
The way they dragged Alicia Fox during some of her weakest moments, personally.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about Charlotte now being in this triple threat with Asuka and Rhea? Does it bother? Because it doesn't bother me at all at this point. At this point, I kind of think this match actually needed her more than.
I'm biased. I really love Charlotte.
No, same. And I do too. I'm actually a Charlotte fan. So like, I think this match needed Charlotte. I think this match needed Charlotte. Actually, needed Charlotte because I don't really care for Asuka versus Rhea, to be honest.
Because they didn't build it right. They've given Asuka nothing.
Charlotte's been the most entertaining part of.
To Rhea last year.
That's probably why Neesin got mad because I've been saying that Charlotte has been one of the most entertaining parts of Raw for the last month.
I would.
The only entertaining part of Raw, you mean?
Her promos, everything she's doing. She comes out there with Sonya Deville. I don't know if Sonya's falling in love with her. I'm with it, but like
they bet not. They bet not play that game. They bet.
Sonya's been one of the LGBT storylines since like 2000.
Yes, but if they learned anything, is they cannot play that game halfway, and they will play that. They will play that game halfway, and it will not turn out good. And I say that because you think it would not turn out good for them in 2019. 2020 has opened up a wide door of they will cancel your ass quicker than most, and they don't want to play that game. They don't want to play it.
WWE has proven to be the most uncancelable brand.
Yeah, I think now now it's tough. Like it's truly it gets tougher and tougher. And if they play that halfway game of like, oh, I'm in love with you, and there's no substance or story or nothing that comes of it, and it just gets dropped, like they did with the Lana, Liv, Rusev, Bobby Lashley, and look, just don't do it. Please. That triggers me a lot. But Charlotte, guys, yes, unfortunately you are right. It did need it. And because they did not build the storyline to it. Look, you know how I feel about Charlotte, and it has nothing to do with her. It has like this character to me it's not grounded. So watching it last Monday, that's what I realized. It's not grounded yet. Like she has a site where she's trying to get to. And I feel like I can't believe it and I can't buy in because it's not at its grounded state yet. Like it's not at this thing to where it's like, oh, she could really be this opportunity, this bitch. The credit is there. Like the credentials are there. The 13-time champion, headlining Hell in a Cell, Raws, and all these things, and turning the Divas titles to the women title. The last one to win the Divas title, winning all the title. Well, look, that's a whole nother conversation. We can rant about it anytime. But she has the credentials for it, and I feel like it's one of those things to where instead of screaming at the top of your lungs, fall on your credentials and allow people to come in. Talk softer. Why are you screaming? Why are you screaming at everybody?
As much as she used to. She used to yell promo.
Well, when I mean scream all the time.
So what I mean screaming, I mean her last promo. What are you guys doing? I mean, I'm this.
She is.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I know she's that. We know she's that. And all you're saying is not making me more mad at you. It's making me like, oh, this trip, this turn, this twist is literally just the company. Like I want to believe. The long story short is I want to believe Charlotte. And I don't believe her.
How do you feel about this Charlotte involvement in this triple threat match?
I love it. I love Charlotte Flair. It needed something. I think Rhea got the short end of the stick during, what was it, COVID Mania. And then Asuka, for Asuka to lose twice to Rhea at this point of where Asuka is and at the point where Rhea is without anyone else involved, it also looks bad on Asuka. I mean, we've done enough. To shade her. So I think it really ups the ante. It makes it more interesting to me, and it makes it more legit.
I personally think this should have been
they needed someone else. Does it need to be Charlotte? I'm glad it's Charlotte, but did it need to be Charlotte? They needed someone else, something else.
So I'm gonna do that thing that pisses everybody off. I'm gonna fantasy book this really quickly. What I kind of want to happen. Well, first things first, I think this should have been the WrestleMania match, this triple threat, because Asuka versus Rhea just did not click for me.
We needed a Mania without Charlotte, man. Come on.
And that's fair. But I think
wait. The Charlotte fan says this?
Yes.
And I'm glad we're getting it now. I personally did want Rhea to face Charlotte one-on-one because I think Rhea deserves her redemption. That being said, I think Charlotte walks out with the belt there and Rhea beats her in a singles match.
If that happens, Pingle may destroy his computer.
I think it only makes sense. And Charlotte doesn't win it by beating Rhea.
Isn't it like Asian American Heritage Month? Are we really going to do this to Asuka this month? We going to do this?
I guess so. I mean, they haven't booked.
Well, Asuka's not going to get the title again.
They haven't booked Asuka right for like 2 years, other than the feud with Sasha and Bayley, which was just entertaining because those three know how to match with each other. They really haven't booked Asuka strong like for the last.
Okay, but the issue is you can't book Asuka strong if you're not making other people, right? Like Asuka should have had. Go ahead.
It's how you tell the story. It's how you package the story. You can make anyone look strong. It's those real life vignettes. Like, and I say this all the time.
Yes.
If you didn't package Mandy Rose the way you're packaging her, she could be a contender. Like, don't have Peyton Royce cutting promos on Talking Smack just to lose. Like, they could have even made Mandy this person like, hey, I'm tired of being the pretty girl. I got the mom haircut. Now I'm in the gym. I lift this. So give me Asuka. It's how you do it. You can even if you could do that to Mandy Rose, you can do it to anybody. You know,
I completely agree. That's the thing. They didn't set that time apart to set these people up for that
because they don't care about Asuka.
They don't. They do, but they don't. They see the value in her and they know how we perceive her, so they use it in that way as a pawn. But they don't really push Asuka as Asuka.
We're like to be an ageist when it comes to women, but look at Asuka's age. I think with her being like 40 now, this is the perfect time to come bring in a legend, just like Trish and Charlotte had that match. Come bring in a legend to go at Asuka.
Oh, you mean like Mickie James?
Needed.
I'm gonna put a bow. I'm gonna put a bow on this whole women's wrestling conversation right now because we've been on it for a bit. I do want to congratulate Indy and Candice on winning the women's tag titles in NXT. That was super cool. Solid match with Shotzi and Ember, but personally, won't need Shotzi and Ember to split up. I'm gonna say one thing about this. If Ember is somewhat the WWE NXT veteran who's been here for a few years, and Shotzi's like the newer person, why is Ember riding Shotzi's coattails? That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, whoa! We're talking about former NXT Women's Champion Ember Moon.
Who's the star of that team, and who stands out, and who just feels like they're just there pretending to be Shotzi?
Pretending to be Shotzi?
Ember has no character. She never had a character. What is she, a she-wolf? Now she's on the tank. She's doing whatever Shotzi's doing. Who's copying who? That's like Shawn Michaels coming back and starting to spit water like Triple H because that's what we're gonna do now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have just been a part of the episode that got Justin blocked from Ember Moon.
You want hot takes and you say I don't give them my page? Well, listen to the show. But congratulations, Indy and Candice. Congratulations to the way they got the North American title. They got the titles. By no means do I think Austin Aries is going to win the world title next week. But I like, I like Karrion Kross. I like Pete Dunne coming at him.
Austin Theory?
Austin Theory's facing Karrion Kross next.
Yeah, but I think you said Austin Aries. I'm sorry. Maybe I was saying things.
But I like the little combination of Dunne, Kyle O'Reilly, Finn all going after Karrion. It's a cool vibe. Karrion really, to me, like the Karrion Scarlett duo, I feel like if you took them and you placed them in 1996 WWF, it would work. I feel like if you that Psycho Sid role, like it would work. I don't know why.
If you took them and put them on Raw, like that's the thing. The NXT is. I feel like we're at early stages of NXT where they're trying to build characters. And we're like resetting NXT, and I think it just doesn't favors to have a monster unless they're prepping. Oh boy, what's his name? That they just signed, big dude.
Patrick Bardot or something.
Yeah, him. Unless they're prepping.
Shout out to him. He follows.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, they're both rep by Eva Marie's manager. Unless they're prepping him to go against Karrion Kross, it does Karrion Kross no favors to beat Finn again, to beat Kyle O'Reilly again, to beat who's the other person? Pete Dunne again. Or does no favors for
Gargano attacked him in the segment too.
Gargano attack, yeah, like it's like
I liked it though. Like it's everybody's getting involved. The title should be the main thing that everyone wants.
It's crazy, but also Karrion Kross is gonna remain at the top until you literally get somebody that's gonna be formidable against him.
That's fair.
And the only person I see coming down that pipeline, I would think Austin Theory, because I think Austin Theory, look, personal things aside, I think Austin Theory is literally could be the guy, but not in this role that he's playing. I love it. I love him in the way, but just not in this role that he's playing.
I do think that they're probably going to do a triple threat with Dunn, Kyle, and Finn to see who faces him. I personally
you don't think you'll get a 4?
Maybe a 4, but I think Adam Cole's going to screw Kyle, and we're going to move forward with that a little bit again. And I really think Finn needs to go back to the main roster because Raw could use him. I'm going to ask us 4 questions. We're going to try to go through 4 questions really fast because we're going to talk about blood and guts. But the first question has to do with Kyle O'Reilly because someone mentioned it on Clubhouse when I was hosting the room during the show. Kyle O'Reilly is no longer undisputed era. He's been doing his own thing. I think he's been styling himself. And everyone's like, people going off being like, I don't think Kyle O'Reilly is marketable. We'll start with you, Britt. Do you think Kyle O'Reilly is marketable?
I think anybody can be marketable, no matter what. Come on. We just talked about how you can have a persona that's being projected and then what's going on in your real life and how to marry that and sell it the correct way. I know we're going to talk about AEW later, but I think they do a good job of that because they have so many stars that are, I guess, seemingly not popular. But I fell in love with Jake Hager's AEW persona just off of the packages he had running with his wife talking most of the time. I think anybody can be marketable, just depending on how you do it. People will say anything about you.
It's true.
It's not a lot to add to that. I think hints to what going back to, not to bring up, you guys' favorite Charlotte. WWE dropped a big ball with having her come back, and they should have leaned in more to the. WWE does it when they want to. They lean into the rumors of the internet, and then they don't when they should, right? Like about Andrade, heavy hand those rumors. Heavy hand those. Yeah, I skipped out on WrestleMania. Like I did that. Like those are the things that's why I was like those. Everything seems half baked. The reason why I don't believe it because you have the material sitting there. So if you want to be marketable or you want to create somebody that is marketable that can sell tickets, all you have to do is take literally their social media posts or the rumors that's going on around them and turn into a storyline. They don't even have to think. It shouldn't be 50 writers in a room anymore. It should be.
WWE has millions of writers. They're all on Twitter.
Yeah.
They're on podcasts like this. We're literally giving them the keys.
True.
Take the keys, WWE.
Just to call back to our earlier conversation, though, I do have a fear that there's 2 things about Scarlett and Karen just came to my mind. I don't know if we can do that entrance every week on the main roster, if that's going to work the same way it does in NXT and in that Performance Center or Full Sail. I don't know if it's going to work the same way every single time. 2, I'm very worried that we're going to get Vince seeing Scarlett and being like, no, she needs to be doing something else. And we're going to get Eva Marie, Lana, Emma, Liv Morgan, part 6.
The Fiend, The Undertaker, Randy Orton. I'm trying to name who else.
Call back to our earlier conversation. You're naming a bunch of male wrestlers, though.
I'm naming all the people that walk like a slug to the ring. That takes forever.
But a lot of them we barely saw, right? Undertaker was an attraction. The Fiend is Karrion Kross going to become an attraction?
Bro, I would watch Randy Orton walk to the ring for an hour straight. I would watch him in the pose. I would watch him do that pose. I would rather watch that than Raw.
That's fair.
Look, I am not here to disagree with you on that.
You notice the only thing we talked about Raw was Charlotte and Eva Marie because everything else is kind of blah.
God, Jesus.
They should replace the third
Charlotte and Eva are the highlight.
Look, guys, Mansoor was on.
All you that hate Eva,
Mansoor was on Raw.
She made her debut. Over 100 comments, like 4,000 likes. You guys low-key like her, but you like to hate her. That's the problem here.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan.
Talking about you. You talking about the listener. You talking about that Zoom finger.
Next question. Andrade.
I see you.
Andrade's out. Andrade's out, and he's challenged Alberto El Patron. I think it's cool. Whatever. It's gonna create some buzz. How do you guys feel about Andrade versus El Patron? Del Rio. You want to go first, Neesin? You're shaking your head.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I think Andrade. I really want Andrade to be the person that makes WWE look at them and be like, "Damn, you really dropped the ball." They had a huge opportunity. They're always talking about trying to get into the Latin market and having a Latin star. And I think Andrade was a person that transcended or had the potential to transcend that, especially with Zelina Vega next to him. And even with her gone, he still had the capability to cut promos and or to at least get it over to convey some type of rivalry, beef, feud, whatever you like to be called. So I want to see him go and win all the. I want to see him be a collector of all titles outside of WWE.
Oh yeah, I guess he challenged Kenny Omega too. We should talk about that.
But that's in December, and that's just weird because that I'm on a. I know we're not talking about this right now. Bully Ray said it best. Impact should be filming at what Kenny Omega did last night.
That was kind of the Impact, and we've heard a lot about that this week. I don't mean to change gears, but even Jericho was on shows and podcasts being like, "Oh, we don't really need to do much for Impact. Like, we're already doing enough. I think AEW is still bigger than Impact. Like, I think this relationship's working the best way it is right now. It's doing nothing for Impact.
Nothing.
Do you tune in? Don Callis and the Good Brothers on AEW like they wanted. Like that's what I feel like it did. Has it built any stars for Impact?
Nope.
How do you feel about Andrade, Britt, and how do you feel about the Jericho comments and Bully Ray's comments about Impact? Both of them.
I like Andrade. I expected them to lean into more of him when Zelina left. I don't think they expected Zelina to leave, but it was a money thing, and it was a huge missed opportunity there. But as much as I want him to see him and do well, and like I like everyone that gets released to do well, I'm just a fan of wrestlers. I don't think WWE is ever going to look at somebody and be like, I dropped the ball. Because at the end of the day, if they were signed to WWE gave them half the clout they have.
That's true.
I know a lot of people who would not know Andrade's name or existence if he wasn't on WWE. So I don't think they dropped the ball on anybody, to be honest. But yes, I wish he could have been that person. And I thought it would happen when Zelina left. I like that he is leaning straight into the business. Like a lot of people who do get released or after release, they're like, let me be a Twitch star for a little bit, or let me leave for a couple of years. I like that he's leaning in and he's like, I've been ready. I'm sitting on ready. Give me some opportunities.
And you got to give him the benefit of the doubt that he didn't have a 90-day.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, Kalisto's about to do a thriller fight thing. Right?
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
News to me. Damn.
Yeah. He just put out a promo and it's him and Thriller. He's about to do a boxing thing.
I can't get with the damn thriller, everything.
Yeah, whatever.
How do you feel about the entire AEW Impact relationship thus far and everything that's being said this week from Bully Ray saying that Nakazawa shouldn't be holding the Impact Championship? It should have been Kenny on Dynamite holding it because that does nothing for Impact. Or just the stuff Jericho saying like, oh, we don't really need to do more with them than we're already doing because
I don't listen when Jericho speaks anymore. I'm just
fair enough.
God damn it. I would stand up right now and give you a round of applause.
I never thought this was a thing, but there is a thing that's too much freedom, and I think AEW gave Jericho too much freedom. I think when he was with the WWE and they reined him in a bit, it might have worked a little bit better for him.
Do you mean when he took the razor and waved it in the camera, or when he got up and said, "Throw me off the cage" right at the hard cam, like he hasn't been wrestling for 30 years?
I'm not gonna blame him about the camera angle because that's the camera people that probably should know not to drop him on the hard cam like that.
But I have a different opinion on whose fault blood and guts was, but I know
we'll talk about that. Two more questions.
But with the Impact thing, I was really excited because like it was happening at a time where it was like a lot of Black people holding belts, and I thought it was going to be this big attention on that was happening at Impact, but I don't think it helps Impact at all, and I think it's kind of just like a curveball distraction on AEW, and I'm like, okay, they kind of saved AEW, and Impact has gotten nothing, whatever.
Nothing.
Yep.
Tony Khan's been showing up there. Kenny showed up there. Private Party. That's about it.
But Tony Khan needs to have a seat. Like, have a seat, bro. You're not Vince. Have a seat. You don't even have. And if he's gonna try to be that guy, at least build your swag up. Like you look silly. You look like some little mark running around. Like,
sometimes I like him, And then sometimes he comes out there and books a match on the stage like he did in Elevated or whatever it's called. And I was like, wow, is this guy?
Oh my God, that was terrible.
Here? Do you guys remember that? Where he's like,
I did. I seen it. It was terrible.
I was like, is he okay? Is he high? No offense, Tony, but were you high?
I have more respect for Adam Pearce than I do for Tony.
Our unofficial general manager, Adam Pearce.
Come on,
Adam P. McMahon. Speaking of Adam Pearce, going back to the
Adam P. McMahon. Mm-hmm.
Daniel Bryan's contract's up. That was a big reveal that we got from Fightful and Sean Ross Sapp this week. The entire time Bryan's contract's up. I'm gonna go first for this one. I genuinely think he's just gonna sign back to WWE. It just says contract's up. I think I would love to see him go wrestle in Japan. I don't really want to see him in AEW, but I wouldn't mind a Bryan Omega match. I would that one match I wouldn't mind Bryan versus Omega, but that's about it. Other than that, like I hope Bryan can sign some sort of. I know he wants to be part-time. I know he probably still wants to write because he's been part of the writing team. I know his wife has a solid relationship with the company still, so it might be conflicting for him to go somewhere else.
Hall of Fame.
I know we're in the middle of a pandemic, in the sense that even if he was to not sign because he wants to go work in Japan, Bryan's the type of guy that wouldn't go anyways because he's a very conscious person. That's a word, yeah. I just think he's gonna sign to the WWE again. I know everyone's getting creative and wants to see him places, but I hope maybe if this, we're hearing stuff about WWE and MLW potentially working together and we're okay doing this and that, maybe WWE will be like, okay, sign back with us and you can work a Wrestle Kingdom or something if you want. But that's it. That's the most I see happening. How about you, Neesin? You're shaking your head again.
Well, I thought you were gonna say him popping up on MLW.
Oh, no.
It's like no. I just
want him to work. I personally want him to work a match in Japan. Personally,
yeah. Okay, so I will go with you. What I personally want and what I actually think is gonna happen. What I personally want, I want Daniel Bryan to do a last hurrah tour and do just one-off matches and probably each promotion. I would love him to go back to ROH and basically give a send-off and to help them. I would love to have him do a New Japan Pro Wrestling match. Nothing crazy. I don't want him to get dropped on his head. Again, we just talked about this. I'm very conscious of people that have injuries that could potentially kill them. And he just said that he had a tag match on SmackDown and his neck was all jacked up and he couldn't put his daughter on his neck. And she likes to pick leaves off the tree. So that's his thing.
Adorable,
so that's what,
right?
Adorable.
I read that and I was like,
right.
And one thing, he's very confident. He knows what's going on around him. He's not someone that's going to just keep wrestling and hurt his body.
Exactly. So that's why I would want him to do. I would love for him to do each match as a last hurrah sort of thing, and then come back and be, part-time or even just working creative, because I feel like his voice really matters to the inner circle at WWE, and it's important. But I think it's circle. Yeah. But I think I really think what's gonna happen is he's gonna. It's no reason they harped on banned from SmackDown. WWE is very good with their words. If he was really gone, they would have gave him the Dean Ambrose treatment, right? They would have literally, your contract expired. Not you have 90 days, not your contract expired. So he's literally a free agent last Friday night. So they knew that.
Daniel Bryan's not someone they let fly under the radar.
Exactly. So that's what they knew, is they kept saying banned from SmackDown, banned from SmackDown. He's not going to show up on SmackDown. He's banned from SmackDown. So I think he is going to sign back to WWE. He could be part-time. And if he does that, please, oh, please let him show up in NXT and have him have a run with Pete Dunne. All the people you said that was around Karrion Kross.
Yeah, Johnny.
Move Karrion Kross out of there and put Daniel Bryan in there and just line them up.
Make that the Fatal Four.
Tuesday nights would be.
I don't know. I'm for a Bobby Lashley Bryan feud. I'm over Bobby versus Drew. I think Bryan would be a good foe for Lashley. But go on, Britt. How do you feel about Bryan and signing back or not?
I mean, I just love you guys. I feel like connected. We read our minds. We kind of feel the same way, and I love that. I don't have to fight, and this is great. I think Daniel Bryan's not going anywhere. But I think part of that is me hoping he doesn't go anywhere too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, if you watch Total Bellas, you can tell that like when he did have that mini retirement due to injury, he cannot stay away from wrestling. As much as he is a family man and loves Birdie and Buddy and whatever the bees are, yeah, I think that he has something in him that will not let him stop wrestling. So I think we're going to see a lot more from him, but hopefully in like, maybe give him a break, give him like a part-time role, like, you know, let him have a family life. And then we can see him maybe come back when the Bellas come back.
And let him be on the writing team. He like as we've seen the past 6 months or whatever we suppose he's been on the writing team. He clearly likes seeing his friends get opportunities now. Cesaro, and the guys that he likes, like you know, he's part of what's happening with them. Like he's pushing for these guys. You can tell, and let him do that. And to Neeson's point, though, I would love a world tour, a final world tour, because like
I would love that.
I always thought back when, and they could use this in the story. And now that we know that his contract's expired, use it for an angle. Like if you watch a Pillman, Dark Side of the Ring, you know, they talked about how he played the companies because he was not signed anywhere and he got to do the stuff. People believed it. They should have let Punk, when he ran out with the belt, go show up Ring of Honor in places. People believed him more before he came back to WWE and stood in front of John Cena. They should have played us a bit. Had Punk show up at Ring of Honor, work with him for one night, and be like, oh, Punk really did leave the WWE with the title. Play with this angle that he's not signed right now, because now that the internet will, like, play to the internet, because the internet will fall for everything.
I talked to somebody, and I can't remember what interview it was, and I asked them, this was before the Forbidden Door was open, Forbidden Door. That's shout out Tony Khan, because he's a marketing genius by doing this Forbidden Door thing, and not really Forbidden Door being open is basically like
he called himself the Forbidden Door.
Yeah, I'm just getting more attention to myself. Great guy.
Britt, I gotta review with you guys now.
I'm being sarcastic as fuck.
I'm just trying to get a job.
That's that guy.
I'm trying to keep my relationships good, guys.
It's wrestling though. Like people know what you talk about. People. I've seen people talk so much crap on a promotion and join that promotion the next day.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, we're giving our opinion. We are being entertaining. I endorse you.
I say it every week. You know what happens, Britt? If you've not watched the show, I say it every week. I'll end up talking so much shit about AEW, and then I'll end it with, I just want to help you guys. I want you to do good. I'm not saying this because I hate you, because I'm not that guy that's like pro WWE. It's just I'm gonna tell you when shit's not good.
If any of us did not like Tony Khan, we wouldn't watch his product every week. Exactly. Clearly, we want him to exist because we like that AEW exists. Yeah. But I mean, I would like to help him out with his swag.
Yeah. I think to Daniel, like a Daniel Bryan thing, of course, Kenny Omega versus Daniel Bryan to be a thing. It should be a thing. But I think we need to figure out, and I say we, not really me, not you, but I think it's the people in the professional wrestling realm, figure out a way where it can be like the old days where they had the interpromotional matches. And you can have, like, imagine Kenny Omega versus Daniel Bryan headlining 100,000 seat arena, right? Like, this is a card of a mixture of WWE, New Japan, and AEW. Everybody gets money. It could be exhibition matches where it doesn't involve a storyline. Like, those are things. I feel like that's the next phase and next step that we're
like a day during Mania weekend or something.
Right. Like or
just a new event.
Yeah, it could be early summer, or it could be fall, like where, you know, people are falling off. Like, it could be something. It's just something that will really inject the next level of what professional wrestling is. And I feel like the people that can lead that are Daniel Bryan, Samoa Joe, and even in Andrade. Like, these are people that can blend all these companies together.
And we're seeing it a lot now. We've seen it a lot with AEW coming through, because they've been working with a lot of people, even bringing Jeff Cobb in for that little bit. Like, they've been doing it a lot. But you got to give credit where credit's due. Like, WWE's done it a lot too, with these random Mae Young tournaments and stuff like that, where they bring people from all over the place.
You mean the women's things that they don't really believe in? That they feel like they don't make money. And
my point is, like, I don't want to give anyone a history lesson here, and I want to wrap up the first hour on finishing with the stuff so we can talk about blood and guts, because we're clearly going overtime. But I do think, obviously, if you look back in history, that was one of the major things for professional wrestling, the NWA territory days. Vince McMahon's dad did it all the time. You'd have Dusty Rhodes come in and wrestle superstar Billy Graham. It's the bullet stopped the buck stopped, I probably should say, with Vince Jr. when he's like, no, I'm just going to sign everybody from everywhere, and they're just going to be exclusive to WWF, and we're not going to work with these other companies. But you're right, we're moving in that direction where it seems like everyone is, and their hands being forced because they're like, well, if they're all working together, we should be working together with some of these people. But the problem with WWE is they want anybody they try to work with, it's more, we want them to be development for us rather than working with another company at the same structure. Like MLW, they're not saying we want to work with MLW. They want to work with MLW the same way they worked with Evolve.
Yeah.
We're gonna farm talent there and eventually bring them up because they want to make NXT actually a third brand and not development no more.
But are these partnerships like what we just talked about, how AEW and Impact isn't really beneficial to both of them, or isn't really giving us the greatness we thought it would? Is this what we want? Does it work?
I mean,
I was in a room with Vince trying to convince him, like, oh, you guys partnering with MLW is going to work.
I just don't think, if you can, there's not even a network no more. I can't do the whole, well, at least you get the MLW content on the network. That's not even like
it is a network, okay? It's Peacock. It's the place and home where the office lives.
I still have a network in Canada, so I shouldn't be talking. We could pause.
I'm jealous. I am jealous of you, first of all, that you still have the network.
But I get what you're saying, Neesin. I do think wrestling's changing again. We're in the winds of change of them working together more and whatnot. I don't know why my email just opened. I do want to ask one last question, then we're going to wrap up this first hour.
Blood and guts.
We're going to get blood and guts. That's like a conversation. Then we're around to Macho Man. That's what you guys are going to get if you stay longer than an hour, guys. I might as well do a couple of things now. If you're going to stay past the hour, we're going to talk about the Macho Man A&E documentary, and we're going to talk about blood and guts. Other than that, guys, I might be releasing the shows moving forward on Saturday or Sunday. I'm just trying to figure that out, which will be nicer because then we can actually talk to about SmackDown after SmackDown happens, rather than
we got to talk about
Roman's.
That's the last question. That's the last question. But before we get there, also, guys,
my DM.
If I didn't plug it at the beginning, sign up to my Patreon, guys. As low as $2. There's a private Instagram page where I do still post videos and stuff, but you only get it if you follow the Patreon. Because I can't get in trouble again, people. You're hearing it here. I'm not going to say it on my page, but you're hearing it here. Plus, all the
Patreon.
The Patreon is the Wrestling Classic. So it's patreon.com/Wrestling Classic, the Wrestling Classic. And you get this in video. You get to see our faces and our actual reactions. And, Neesin nodding his head or Britt looking disappointed or happy. Hopefully we get Britt on here more often if she's down. But, sign up to the Patreon.
Celebrating if you're watching on the Patreon.
There you go. So you get the video on Patreon and the audios for everyone else on Apple Podcasts and whatnot. So make sure you subscribe. I don't like plugging the interviews I'm going to do because I've learned a lot this past year that people like to reschedule and disappear. So I'm not going to plug in the interviews I'm going to do because people are like, yeah, I'm down. And just disappear off the face of the planet. What's up, Enzo? Other than that, though.
The shade.
I do have a couple of interviews coming up this week, and I'll talk about them next week because I should be recording 3 of them this upcoming week. So look forward to that. And you get them first on the Patreon. Casual conversations. More of them are coming.
Is this a shoot week on Enzo? Because I have a whole thing.
Make sure you guys check out THS Wrestling. I've been posting content there as well. Make sure you guys check out these guys' 30 seconds or less reviews of the shows. Trust me, Raw is really hard to watch. None of us really like enjoy. If you don't like sitting there for 3 hours, just listen to Neesin talk about it for 30 seconds.
Well, okay. Let's rephrase that. I actually stopped. I stopped torturing myself.
Oh my god!
And so I am now doing SmackDown, the greatest 2 hours of professional wrestling.
Because nobody wants to watch Raw.
I talk about Raw sometimes on my TikTok.
Maybe Britt can do the 30 seconds or less for Raw.
Right.
My wrestling opinion is always under a minute, so bam.
There you go. See,
we'll talk off the air.
Right.
Last question for the first hour, and we're gonna go over anyway. So if you guys are still here, thank you. Because I know listening to a wrestling show over an hour can sometimes be a pain in the ass. But Roman Reigns' theme. How are we feeling? And to your credit, Neesin, I just want to say one thing. I started watching Succession. I haven't been able to sleep because I've been watching Succession, but I get where he's going. But Britt, Roman Reigns' theme. I know you made a reel about it, so you have an opinion about it. Where do we stand?
He absolutely needed this. This is what we needed. I said, I thought it was going to be more tribal because he is the tribal chief, but it wasn't. And we got what we got. And it was great. It felt like, when you're watching a scary movie and that thing that sets the tone and you're like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen is the head of the table is going to walk out. I like it. I was thinking maybe the Shield music can be used in another way now. He definitely needed something new. I don't know why everyone's complaining about it. Like, what did you want him to walk out to? I thought it was great. He is a presence in himself. Like, honestly, you know, this is also my other opinion coming in. I could watch Roman walk out to silence and still get a little bit excited.
Fair enough.
I felt that coming from. I felt it revving up. Like I felt it.
You knew what the period was gonna be.
I knew what it was. I couldn't
That's
help my laughter. Yeah, no, I didn't like it, and I still don't like it after a week, and mostly because of all the reasons you said. He is the tribal chief. He is the guy. He has a presence. When he walks out, he commands your attention. That music does not command your attention as if Roman Reigns does. That is not tribal chief music. And also, it can't command your attention as the head of the table and the face of the company, when it sounds like two other people on the same show in the same, it sounds like that music. It sounds like Bailey and it sounds like Seth Rollins, not the new Parkway Drive ripoff theme, but the Embrace the Vision
Messiah.
theme. The Messiah theme. Yeah, Messiah. So when you have literally those two remind me and they're on your show,
it's gonna grow on you, bro.
So like,
I mean, I'm sure it is. This is just it was my first reaction, and I think honestly, it's gonna evolve over time as well. I think this is his first stages of this actual theme, but also, it sounds like it has. To me, it sounds too folklore. It sounds like it was a Hobbit type, like the Hobbits made it or something. The Succession thing. Yeah, because it doesn't have.
In here.
Yeah, so I would say before I know you got to do it, I would say this is why. The high ting, I don't know what instrument it is, and I'm gonna go through the Rolodex and find out which instrument it is, but it's a very like high ting folklore, like almost borderline flute, that's playing the lead line in the beat or in the theme song. That's not tribal. That doesn't command strength to me. Like that doesn't command the powerhouse. Shout out Will Hobbs, but just the power that Roman Reigns displays with just the look and stare, right? Like it doesn't capture that to me. It doesn't capture stack 'em, rack 'em, and pin 'em, whatever his new terrible shirt is. It doesn't command that for me. Like this man beat 2 Hall of Famers at WrestleMania. This man headlined the first WrestleMania after the pandemic. He came back after beating cancer, and he gets that terrible ass theme. No.
It's not terrible.
Unacceptable.
Long overdue.
Unacceptable.
Definitely long overdue.
Rest long overdue.
Shield. Rest in peace to the Shield. Finally, after so many years, Roman Reigns is his own character in person with no ties to the Shield.
Still has the pants and the boots.
I don't care about the pants and boots because I don't want to see him in trunks. And I don't want to see him in tights. So that works for me. I'm okay with it.
I like that he got his shirt off now.
That's great. And there's no vest. Like the vest is gone. That was the most Shield thing about him was the vest.
The vest. I'm happy the vest is gone. I'm happy that again the Shield music is gonna hit so much harder in 3 years
when they do a reunion.
Alpha Delta.
3 years. I think we gotta wait a little bit longer than that.
Yeah. Well, even if they put Seth and Roman together at some point, you know.
Oh,
but,
we don't Mox. We don't want it. Take it back.
Yeah. But I like the theme. I do think there's a couple problems I do have with it though. First things first, someone said they should have just like paid the rights for the instrumental of Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio, and I'm like, oh my god, that would have been amazing. Like, go listen to the instrumental of Gangsta's Paradise.
That wouldn't have made him a heel.
On YouTube, and then listen, and then imagine I can even make the edit and send it to you guys of like Roman walking out to the instrumental of Gangsta's Paradise, and you guys will be like, oh shit, because someone said the piano in this kind of sounded like it, but I was like, but if they just use it, holy shit! Like, how expensive can a Coolio song be? Who owns it? Like,
well, first of all, those rights. I'm
not disrespecting Coolio, but I mean,
no,
like,
those rights. One is a sample of the song is a sample of a song.
That's fair. That's true.
It's double rights.
You would know.
I seen the video. Yeah, I seen the video of somebody put. I don't know if you heard the song "Oh, a Lot of Smoke."
No.
But it's da-na-na-na-na, and I need you, da-na-na-na-na-na, and I miss you. But it's a raps. It's these kids rapping, and it's a very bad song because they're talking about who they would kill in the song. But it's blowing up over the internet because it's like a trap beat behind it, and they put that behind Roman Reigns. Somebody's like, this should have been his theme, and I was like, oh, yeah, this should have been his theme. But also, if you do Coolio, you do that song, you do any popular song.
But to your point,
he's not going to be a heel.
And that's the
people
thing.
are waiting to cheer Roman.
He's a heel, but we all love him.
But I know everyone keeps saying he needs more of a tribal theme, but I don't know. I think maybe it's the association with the Usos, but I'm like, he needs more of like a trap or a hip hop beat. Like he needs something that would have been goes a little bit more hard as a hip hop or a trap beat rather than
because like why does AJ Styles music go so hard?
Yeah, like Roman should go that hard.
That was supposed to be James Storm's song.
They don't want nothing. That's what you need.
Like that's something that Roman needs because like. Listen, and to Neeson's point, that was my issue with the Roman thing. Because if you the underlaying of it, if you listen to it without the crowd noise and the commentary on YouTube or on Apple Music, or whatever, the underlaying of it, the piano, like in the future they could speed that up. It could work. It actually sounds okay, but it's that hymn, it's that hymning sound, like that church. That's why I'm like, this is too much. There doesn't need to be that loud folklore hymn. There shouldn't be hymning in his song. This is too godly. This is too heavenly. Like I need. And the way that it starts with a loud hymn,
so critical.
Huh?
Y'all are so critical. I hope I never release a single and give it to y'all.
Like imagine Roman's doing a run-in and all you hear is, I want glass shadow. I want you. We don't want. You don't want nothing. I want like something. I want when he's doing a run-in or he's gonna enter in a match it to be like a beat. I don't want it to be like. And then Roman's running out there. I want to
make like a TikTok to AJ's music.
But you know what I mean? Like if AJ's music hit and he was doing a run-in, that slaps. You know what I mean? But Roman's like, I don't want to hear hymns and him running.
Bianca Belair's music comes on.
Yeah.
I'm on my own.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Vibe.
It does like
Neeson's down on the show 2 weeks in a row, and now we got Britt dancing with him.
I don't think he needs lyrics though. I don't want.
He doesn't.
Lyrics.
I don't necessarily think he needs lyrics too. It just needs to be harder.
Seth Rollins' first theme, Burn It, the original Burn It Down. Like that was hard. Like that was a hard theme. When he came running out, it's iconic enough. Like you remember the music hits when he runs out and cashes in for the title at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
right.
I'm big on the run-in coming out of nowhere. Like you need that first. I don't know what you call it, like that first beat that hits to be like, Dean had it, Seth had it.
This is why I don't like Big E's music. This is why I love Wale and I do not like Big E's music because it starts off with a verse instead of like something that hits hard.
I know,
and I love Wale. I love Wale, like legit.
Shout out DJ Money who made the instrumental because it really didn't need the lyrics.
It didn't. It did not.
More hot takes that I can't speak on.
Thank you. I'm glad I said this before. Nobody.
I haven't properly listened to Biggie's theme. I probably should. I'll come back next week with an opinion.
You have it? I have it downloaded on my phone. Wale and DJ Money are family, but I understand what you're saying.
I'll check it out. I know I've heard it. I obviously watched the performance at WrestleMania, but I haven't like sat there. Like with Romans, I sat there and listened to it on YouTube or on Apple Music where it's like no fans, no commentary because I just wanted to hear it. But I think I think we're all in agreement that it needed to change. We just are on opposite sides of if it's good or not.
It's gonna evolve.
I'm in the middle. Neeson's on it needs to be better, and Britt likes it. So
yeah, leave it alone.
We're all over the fence here.
Leave Roman alone. That's all.
We don't need to talk about Dynamite as a whole because not much really happened. I mean, QT Marshall kicked out of a tombstone and a crossroads because QT fucking Marshall. Why not? But other than that,
Can I have my moment so I can get you blocked by QT Marshall as well? Can I do that?
I can't believe that I talk shit about him every week on the show, and then he followed me on Instagram.
Can we get into the people that follow you and the people that are in Neeson's DMs? Like, can we get into that? Because I'm very curious.
It's nothing. It's just people that think I don't have wrestling IQ. I don't know what I'm talking about, and I don't make.
Watch the people that come at him about the Wale song now. Watch.
Your DMs are be as crazy as mine are.
My following is just super nice to me. My following is just super nice and supportive of me, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, his following.
I guess like the stupidest shit ever, and they're like, I'm like, thank you.
They go to my page and they be like, when they don't see like wrestling shit, so they're just like, you don't know anything about wrestling. Why are you here talking about wrestling?
Right.
It's like,
oh my gosh, the DMs I get, like, oh my god, stick to doing radio, stick to sport, and then like I get creep stuff, like next level
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
I
sorry.
love how it says in your bio, not an IG model. I'm like, oh, she's
because I'm not. I don't do that. I know, it's that time where like the IG pages like try to get you. Hey, you want us to send you free bikinis? Do you see me in a bikini anywhere on my page? Please get dismissed. But yeah, it gets creepy, and I feel like, you know, I wish there was more like female wrestling content creators, but maybe that's why, because, you know.
You know,
And I'm not even serving Eva Marie, but I think the creepiest, this guy said, he was like, I will mail you.
That already sounds creepy.
Yeah, he's like, I just give me your PO box and I will mail you a Sasha wig, and then I will pay you $500 to put on the Sasha wig and do a video of you barking like a dog, and wearing. I was like,
Britt, someone sent me a cameo request to take my shoes off very slowly, then my socks, and then to go closer to my feet, like, and then like they said they will tip me more if I do it, and they sent me a video example of how to do it because they did it themselves.
That's weird.
You throw yourself out there to the public, and the public will come with their odd demands.
I'm just wondering. I'm like, what type of request is actual Sasha getting? Like,
my DMs are wild, and then also the amount of people that just want things for free all the time is ridiculous. But,
what are they asking you for free?
Just and all this other stuff.
People ask me for like Wizards tickets or like money. I'm like, what?
We know you know this person. Can you get a shout out from this person? From what do I look like?
Yeah, let me text them right now. You know, people will DM me and be like, hey, when Bradley Beal is dribbling on the left, can you tell him if he uses this? I'm like, what?
Yeah, sure. Let me just go talk to him.
Awkward DMing people myself that I already know, because I'm like, let them have their space. Like, I don't want to overstep. Like, you know what I mean? I could be asking for favors. I'm like, nah. Like, you want me to ask favors for you? Like, what?
Oh yeah. Or if someone from WWE like joins my live, because I go live every pay-per-view, then like the comments I can't read because it's just all like, oh my gosh, so and so's in here. Can you do this? Can you? And I'm like,
it's always funny when someone does. Remember Neesin when you and mine and Godfather joined us like out of nowhere, and I was like, oh, we got the Godfather. I think I hadn't even take a shower or brushed my teeth. We're live with the Godfather.
We just start talking about his female companions and weed. That was our whole conversation.
I was prepared. I'm like, Neesin, take it away.
that is me. I'm like, oh, hey, yeah.
I don't even know what to say. Go ahead.
Weed, right?
Questions.
The best is like the actual wrestlers who are in your DMs giving you all the tea and then you can't say anything.
Oh yeah.
I'd be like, bruh.
Yeah.
I would talk about the times where I stayed on the phone for 2 hours with a particular wrestler at 1 o'clock in the morning, and them just telling me every single thing. And I'm just sitting there like,
this is all fair conversation, but I know more about AEW than I should ever really know.
But you want to work there. You want to work there.
But I want to work there. So guys, I know stuff and I still want to work there. Come on. But other than that, Blood and Guts. So speaking of AEW, what do you guys think of the match? I'm gonna start first.
Of the match or of the show?
The whole show, but really the show was the match, because Cody and QT was a good match. I'll give him that. It actually was a good match. I did have problems with him kicking out of certain moves. If he was going to kick out of the tombstone, at least be clever with the second kick out with the crossroads. Like, do a situation where he put his foot on the rope or something. Made it seem, now you're just making QT Marshall seem way too strong when, if that's your goal, sure, but it's hard for us to believe after all this time. Like, slowly building up as a stronger
You've known from watching AEW this whole time that Cody does not care. Cody is just there to put other people over. He loves the mid card. Like, Cody is just there. I'm like, is Cody ever going to be strong on his own damn show?
Well, 2021 has been the worst year for Cody. Like, he's done. They've been so confused of how to book Cody ever since he lost that TNT title to Darby. Like, they just don't know what to do with him. It feels like,
which he should have. You know,
yeah, for sure.
Of the Darby Hive.
And what else happened on the show? The Britt got a squash match, rightfully so. She should be winning the title. And then there was a tag match, which I was sitting there. I was with my family yesterday. We were all together hanging out, so they were forced to watch Blood and Guts with me. And one of my younger cousins, my grandma, was in there like, "Oh, this is so dirty." In Punjabi, like, "This is so dirty. Why they're all bleeding and stuff? This is so bad."
How do you say that in Punjabi?
She's like, "It's gand. What is this gand?" But
gand.
But my one cousin, who obviously grew up watching wrestling, they're my cousins, my younger cousins. They watched wrestling growing up. It's just a thing. He's like, but he was sitting there with me. He's like, "Why does this look so much more fake than it did before?" And I'm like, and I looked at him like, to be honest with you, it's because it just looks more choreographed. Because everything is too perfect and everyone's flipping around and it looks like they're going to spots that they've pre-planned.
The beginning of the match?
I'm talking about the tag match. But I was like, the reason why the blood and guts kind of came off real is because there was botches and there was fuck-ups. And when there's fuck-ups and botches, it comes off more realistic. And I'm not talking about the camera botches and the things that we shouldn't have seen. I'm talking about like Sammy slipping on the ropes. That makes it a little bit more realistic. The man just got hit with a chair a bunch of times. The fact that he slipped off the ropes and then Jim Ross sold it as, oh, he's feeling the effects of the chair shots. Like, he should be. That's how it should be. He should try and move like that and fall because he just got beat up with the chair. That makes sense. Like, you know, that's just my take. Other than that, I for the people complaining about the finish, them surrendering, if you know anything about war games, it's submit or surrender. That's how you win the match. It's been like that forever. They surrendered so Jericho didn't get thrown off the top of this cage. It can end like that. I do think the problem with this match, the only other problem with this match, is it felt longer than it intended to be or needed to be. But I also think that was because it's on television and those commercials. Because after Jericho came in, it shouldn't have went as long as it did. And it went really long, but I think that's more because of the commercials, in my opinion. And one actually last thing I want to say about it before I give you guys the floor. When Jericho and MJF were on the top, why didn't they cut to the other guys? Like, were we just supposed to believe they're all laying there dead in the ring? They never cut back to the other guys. And then the only time we knew the other guys existed was when MJF was about to toss Jericho off. Then next thing you know, all of the inner circle popped outside and was like, no, stop. What were they doing that entire time that Jericho and MJF were fighting on top of the cage? Who wants to go first?
Did you want to go first? Britt?
Oh, you can go ahead.
Oh.
You seem triggered.
No, my biggest issue with AEW, Justin's future employer, is their production, and they have all the means to have great production.
Preach.
They have, but from the start of the show, it felt disjointed because it was pre-taped, everything besides the actual match. And I felt weird because I'm like, okay, you're showing you can always tell when things are pre-taped with wrestling because they show like a quick fan shot and then it'll cut to the ring and they never show another fan shot again, right? Like Dean Ambrose comes out. Dean Ambrose, I am so sorry. John Moxley comes out. I know he got the Mox shirt on.
That match happened. What about that?
Yeah, the whole like that thing was weird. So that the tag match, like you said. You can't pay me to be interested in QT in the factory. You can't. It's nothing you could do. And they already set up a go-go. I know we talked about it in the chat, Justin. Like they already set up a go-go to basically like not succeed. Like his finisher is a punch to the gut. So none of his matches should last past 2 minutes. Like a punch to the gut, not even to the head where people could block. Like it's a gut punch, and he's knocking everybody out.
I don't mean to cut you off, but why are they pushing people and they don't even push the people they already have that deserve?
Hey man,
let's push Go-Go, but let's just have Brian Cage and Ricky Starks and all these other people doing nothing.
But again, so as we're moving down this production line, we're talking about timing felt off. Then we're talking about the stretching of time. Like it's all, we know it's live television. We've all done things live. We know when we have to stretch time and we know when we don't. I felt like they were stretching a lot of time once they got rid of those pre-tape matches. And when we get to the blood and guts match, and when you have to, you going into the, why do we need a picture-in-picture? One, why didn't you just pay for commercial free for the 30 minutes or get a sponsor for it? That's crazy. At least
we needed 1 or 2 commercials in the match, fine. But
that's nuts.
Like, came in, there should have been no more commercials.
That's nuts. Second, why you have 2 hard cameras? Like, why you just have one so everything is off angle? Like, right now if you look at War Games, how they WWE, they have 2 hard cameras. So you have one camera where you're not shooting diagonal to the other ring. You're literally shooting one ring square and one ring square, and then they can have a wide if need be. So that was a little irritating. But the stretching, Jericho climbing up the scaffold. And they go, oh, we're going to go to commercial break. He literally holds onto the scaffold while they're at commercial break. So in the little picture, he's just chilling. He's just chilling there.
The commercial breaks really
doing a commercial break. Then he gets done with the commercial break. He goes up to the top.
Oh, you're one of those people that actually watch the picture-in-picture.
Oh, I did. I did.
That you can do anything.
A match should be going on.
I didn't have NXT to turn to. I was very upset. Ooh. So, we get up to the top of the ring, and I'm not talking. You guys could talk about in-ring stuff because there was a lot of stuff to talk about in there, but especially head chair shots. Are we still? We're back to doing that. That's crazy. If you're a camera or if you're in a truck and you see your wrestler pulling out a gig blade, whatever you want to call it, out of his wrist tape, and it's only one camera, and it's literally zoomed in of him pulling it out, him holding it in his hand, him waving it at the camera, and to Jericho's fault, he probably wasn't thinking he couldn't switch hands and put it in his other hand because what's his name was working on his other hand. Granted, he couldn't drop it because it would have dropped through the cage. Granted, so don't show that angle, but also Jericho, don't do this.
Cut to the ring, cut to the fans.
So many other things you can do.
Like, cut to something. Did they only have 2 cameras? Was that the problem?
They had one. No, they only had one camera up top, and then they had the rest down.
Cut to something happening in the ring because we never saw the people in the ring ever again.
You're not gonna act like this is anything new.
Oh no, it's not.
Hey,
but
this is Kevin Dunn. We probably wouldn't have got that.
We would have never got those. It was
Vince
so many
screaming, and even if we did, in any replay, it'd be gone.
The one time we missed a big moment in WWE was Edge's spear at Royal Rumble, January 26, 2020, and that spear when he came in and it was a quick cut away from it and everybody freaked the fuck out. That never happened again.
They messed up a couple times. They messed up an AJ's debut. They messed up Sasha doing
whose debut?
AJ Styles' debut. Where they were cutting.
No, I'm talking about.
I'm just saying WWE's messed up too. We're giving them.
Yeah,
of course, but like
this
wrestling production is very different than any other thing, and we know just working in entertainment. I'm like, everything's different. Like when I do TV and entertainment stuff, I'm like, those people are filming things differently than when they're filming the NBA games, the WNBA games, and AEW has had plenty of time at this point to get it right. And we've seen so many things, especially when it's on television. Remember when the time we had like an NBA game sound pumping in to Dynamite? It's just not right. Or they should have had the wake-up call when they accidentally filmed the guy throwing the fake punches. Like, it's been so much time for you to get someone in there who has been filming wrestling correctly and who knows what they're doing, who was made to do this, and not whoever is doing it now and just doesn't care. I don't put this blame on the wrestlers. Yeah, there's some things that could have been different. But it really takes away those moments. Because the thing is, when I look back at things that, wow, that was crazy, it's all about the angle. It's all about that. I mean, it wouldn't have looked cool seeing people fall off the top of a cage if it wasn't about that angle. They ruined that. They ruined that for MJF. Like, it could have been so cool. It could have been everything. I don't think Jericho should have been doing that spot anyway, but that's just my opinion. But now that we saw, the steel/cardboard, it ruined that moment for MJF because now that's what we're talking about and not that final look and not that thing, that moment that was supposed to put him over is now the moment that made people say the same thing they've been saying about AEW. Like, it's the JV of WWE.
And it's not like we didn't know. We saw the wrestlers avoiding to walk straight down the ramp like something was there all night. I just think you're right. It was a camera angle. Like, listen, also, I want to go to those fans out there that were like, why was there cardboard and stuff? Like, what do you want him to kill himself? Like, this is the mid-90s. I'm happy that they're protecting the wrestlers. No, but I'm okay with them protecting the wrestlers. But I'd rather them just the angle of how it was shown. They should have rehearsed that and been like, listen, if we're gonna do it, it has to be filmed from this angle so we don't see. Like, they should have predetermined how they were gonna film that spot because the way they filmed it made it obvious.
Spot wasn't needed.
Don't do it.
Just make it.
I
think do it, but just don't make it obvious. We already know.
Y'all already don't know how to do those spots. We learned when the whole world was scared about Matt Hardy's life. We already know that.
But it's crazy when Matt Hardy falls off and hits a cement. Everyone's like, "Well, AEW's unsafe workplace." But then the moment they do it with Jericho and they make it safe, it's like, "Oh, it didn't look real enough."
Well, because look, what I said. That wasn't that whole Matt Hardy shit. Like, I felt like if it was as serious as it was in that moment, and they knew, why did they have other cameras like follow him and like they continued the match? So either one, they were negligent and they put their wrestlers at danger and didn't care, or 2, he didn't get hurt.
You don't finish the match at the end of the day.
That's what I'm saying. You don't. So it's
No.
it's one of those things where you were negligent because you end the match right there. Or,
my thing is, stop trying to make moments and let the moments happen. When
the
you
match
try to
itself was already a
so
moment.
much, like, oh, let's give him a moment and have him fall into the. There were so many moments that would have been the moment, but instead, the moment is cardboard.
And the match overall, like,
show,
at the end of the day, I enjoyed the match. I enjoyed the concept. I can't wait to see it again. The whole night had a big match feel. It felt like a pay-per-view in a weird way. So, like, all of that was successful.
We didn't see any guts.
Everybody killed it.
We did.
To me, Sammy Guevara was the MVP of the match. That man was bumping and flying all over the place. I love Santana and Ortiz. Obviously, I'm a big fan of FTR. They made Wardlow look strong. Jake Hager looked like a monster in there. Jericho and MJF fighting on the top was a visual. That could have been the visual that we remembered rather than someone falling off.
Could have been the moment.
For sure. Yeah, like that alone was a visual to see those two on the top fighting, bloody, all of that. I enjoyed the moment. I thought it was cool. I do see how it was cheesy and fake. But it goes back to like me saying, like when Shane jumped off the Hell in a Cell onto the table at WrestleMania 32 and everyone saw the padding and they complained about it. What do you want him to do? Kill himself for you? Like, I don't understand, guys. Wrestling.
That's what Mankind was doing. So.
Yeah, but back then they didn't know any better. And I'm telling you, I bet if you ask Mick Foley now, he'd be like, I wish I had padding.
Well, he's
no,
but that's why you
not
don't.
Mick Foley.
Right. That's why you don't do that. I think
then just don't. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you said it best. You said, you said it, Britt. But then Justin, you said that you can't wait to next year. You look forward to it. I don't, because what else can they do now? Right? Like they already broke that seal. So now people are gonna be like, oh, what's next? What's next with the like? Once you break that seal.
Well, it's the issue. It's a Mankind thing, right? You can't throw someone off the top of the cell every time. So how do you make the cell still better every time you do it again? You got to find creative ways to. Well, they've ruined the Hell in the Cell. That's a whole different topic. We're not going to get into. But
be creative. Don't just try to repeat history. Because
and you need different players. You need. They got so many factions. You need different players. You need personal feuds.
Factions.
It doesn't need.
Since we're talking blood and guts, like it was such a small moment, but like at what point are we going to realize that Darby Allin is a champion and like the whole sympathy angle is not what we need? Like, I'm so tired of seeing him get bullied and thrown around. And I'm like, we saw in so many matches that this man is strong. So like, stop throwing him around like a punch.
I mean, it's hard to feel bad or sympathy for someone that always overcomes the odds anyways.
Exactly. So can we please
It's like when they tried to make us doesn't piss Neesin off. It's like when they tried to make us think that Cena needed to overcome the odds after we've seen him overcome the odds like 50,000,000 goddamn times. It gets old. We know he's gonna overcome the odds. Don't try to do that shit.
That'd piss me off.
At this point, QT Marshall's the new John Cena.
I won't.
Okay, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
What was this Cena like? You go that too? You go that too?
Oh, the disrespect. Okay. All right.
We're gonna wrap this
watch
up.
Your mouth.
AEW. We'll see you next week, AEW. I got some talking to do with my guy, not John Cena, because that's not my guy. This guy, the Macho Man Randy Savage. If you're watching this, you see I'm wearing a Macho Man Randy Savage shirt. Courtesy of Wrestling for Sale. Go check him out. But boy, I'm gonna unload on this documentary a little bit.
Yeah.
Did I like it? Yeah. Overall, it was a good production. I enjoyed it. All these documentaries have been great. The Austin one, the Stone Cold one was tremendous. I appreciate them doing them. I don't know what we're gonna get moving forward, so maybe that will change my perspective of the Savage one. Yeah, no, I mean like I don't get like how they're gonna be produced or what we're gonna get as in like the content of these episodes of Booker T and Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and the Warrior and Mankind. Like I don't know what they're gonna give us. I think the reason why this one was a little bit polarizing was because the first two were kind of like really nice towards Austin and Piper. We didn't get to hear about Austin's domestic abuse and beating up his wives and whatnot. We didn't have to hear about Piper's drug issues and blackface at WrestleMania 6 and the controversial stuff he did. Whereas when it came to the Macho Man one, it almost seemed like everything he did after WWF, they tried to bury. They tried to bury the man. They went in depth about his drug issues and being pilled up and stuff. They made it more about his issues with women and all of the women in his life. It wasn't a Macho Man documentary. It was a documentary about Macho Man's relationships. Elizabeth, I understand because
you're in your bag though. You're in your bag because you love him.
And no, but it was just like, it was hard. It was hard to watch at the end because it's like, yo, and then why the fuck did you have Bubba Love Sponge on there as much as he was on there? Okay, Hogan, Terry, I can understand because they had an off and on relationship.
Hogan,
you know, and most of the stuff, and shout out to A&E because most of the stuff Hogan said, they would cut to someone right after saying the complete opposite, which made Hogan look like a fool. Which was
nobody cares about that, man. Nobody cares.
But like, at least Hogan, there's like reasonable reasons for Hogan to be on there because him and Macho did have a really off and on relationship during Savage's entire career. They were tied to the hip, whether they were friends, whether they were beefing, they were close. Bubba Love Sponge was Hogan's friend. Bubba Love Sponge is the guy whose wife was banging Hogan when Hogan was saying all this shit that he got in trouble for. I don't even think Hogan and I'm pretty sure Hogan sued him. This guy's on there burying the shit out of Savage more times than he needed to. Once Bubba Love Sponge pops up, says some shit, cool. But the amount of times this guy showed up and just talked about Savage shitting his pants and talked about Savage just this, they left out so many details about Savage. They focused so much on him popping pills and being over obsessive and paranoid. They never talked about the charity shit he did till he died with Children's Hospital and Special Olympics. They never talked about
Is that what you wanted to see?
No, but if they were gonna balance it out. If you're gonna talk about
people wanted to see him at Children's Hospital?
I'm glad they talked about the bad stuff. Don't get me wrong, but balance it the fuck out. Then you just like the whole end half was just burying the fuck out of him until the very last like 5 minutes. His rap album. Okay, listen. Hogan, he did not make a rap album because of you. He made a rap album and then called you out on it because he liked rap and he wanted to make a hip hop album.
Okay. I mean, look,
Neesin,
you are in your bag. You're definitely no.
They also didn't talk about the entire thing that Savage challenged Hogan to a match when he dropped the rap album.
Nobody wants to see his phone.
Exactly. That's not getting ready.
No, but talk about it.
Not getting ready.
Even talk about it. Even that's like you just like brushed over all this stuff.
Do philanthropy. That's
I know, but like
we don't need to see
the first two was the first two were such puff pieces, and this one seemed like a targeted attack.
No, and I think
were puff pieces.
I was gonna say Austin's was not a puff piece. Like to me, Austin, he almost broke down in tears on it.
They made him look like a bad father
because he got designed to tell his story. Did he look like a bad father?
Yeah, he said.
I feel like across the board, all wrestlers in a sense are bad fathers.
Well, yes, but I feel like
back in the day when you're on the road and shit, like.
No, but when you're saying this, I feel like across the board, all wrestlers are pillheads. So let's talk about that. Like
they are. So why would we have to dive into it and shit?
We dove into Austin's bad father.
They made it seem like Savage was the only dude in the world that did steroids.
No, they didn't. Jake the Snake even was on there like, this is something we all struggled with. He was like,
everybody did it.
No. It was a piece about Randy's. Again, first of all, Randy Savage is probably one of the most complex wrestling characters, right? Like everybody that talks about him that was around him in that wrestling world before this documentary all talked about his struggles with the possession and love of like Miss Elizabeth and how he perceived people and trust, his anger, how intense he always was, how perfectionist he always was, the pill issue. So when it gets brought up on an A&E documentary, that these are the things that he's struggled with, and
that's not the problem. You
just said that was a problem.
No, it just wasn't balanced out properly. It was so like, Dark Side of the Ring never painted Savage in a good picture either, but it was done well. It made sense. It was justified. This was like, fuck this guy. We're gonna target. He's dead. He can't speak for himself. We're gonna talk about all this.
I think you're wrong, but I understand because if my favorite talks bad about at all, I think I go super hard for my face, but you have to.
I know I'm not alone in this. Eric Bischoff agrees with me. Joe check out his Twitter. Conrad Thompson agrees. A bunch of people agree. Like it just seemed a little.
Don't ever use Eric Bischoff as the.
I was like, that's not a good. That's not a good barometer.
Eric Bischoff agrees of reasoning in professional wrestling.
No.
There's a lot of things Eric Bischoff says and be like, oh, okay.
I mean, look, this is my thing. I want to see when they do a Warrior one. Are they going to talk about his homophobic rants? Are they going to talk about
he's still associated with the WWE? His wife works there. Like,
hey,
it doesn't matter though.
This was the self-destruction of the Macho Man Randy Savage.
What I'm saying, it was not. Knock it off. It was not.
At all.
What I'm saying is that there's so much to a person, right? And there's so many roller coasters into a life, and especially a life that was cut short or that was well lived. That it's about what's the best story, and at an exec point, at a story producer's point, at a associate producer's point, you're worried about, okay, well, what's going to tell the best story? What's going to get the ratings? What do people want to know most? What do people deal with now? Let's see what's rampant now: drug addiction, pill addiction. So people could relate to that, right?
And it wouldn't have been real if they didn't mention that
exactly.
and elaborate on it.
Once again, I don't care that they mentioned it.
Oh, by the way, there was a pill issue and didn't go in with. Oh, by the way, there was a little weird thing with.
No, he wouldn't. He would have been like, give me more about WrestleMania 3 with Savage.
No, I don't even care. No, they did that.
We know the wrestling. There was people that stuff on WWE Network.
No, for sure.
This is A&E. This is about his life.
And there were
we want to hear stuff we ain't heard before.
Points are being made, Justin.
No, but that's the beauty about these A&E things. I said at the beginning. I watched the Austin one. I'm like, yo, a lot of this I've heard before until he started talking about his kids. I'm like, we never got to hear that before. We never get to hear him talk about his daughters. That was the one thing. The Piper one, I think I read his book and stuff, so I did kind of know a lot of that. But for a lot of people, they didn't know about him fighting in the streets and what he had to do at the beginning. That was new to a lot of people. The Savage one,
it wasn't positive either. None of these things you're saying.
And the Savage one was the pill popping and the Gorgeous George cameras and stuff, and that's fine. I'll tell you right now, from my own knowledge, there was a lot other worse things they could have said about Savage, about what he did while he was with Gorgeous George that even I know about. That
so then why are you all in your feelings? Why are you in your feelings?
You the most?
This just seemed like the man could not defend himself. The people that they chose just spoke. The amount of Bubba and Terry that we got was too much more than other people.
Terry, but you can't talk about Macho without talking about
and that's what I'm like. I'll sit back with Terry. I understand, but with Bubba, there's way too much Bubba. I like Dan Schroeder as a impressionist of Macho Man and his comedy, but a lot of the stuff he said on the episode was just like stupid.
They didn't give you a phone call.
It's not even that. It's just like
it's just said, Justin, we need you for this A&E doc.
The people that they chose to talk about the Macho Man, a lot of them were just like not the most positive people to talk about the Macho Man. And then to your point, a lot of it ended up just being more about the Macho Man and his relationships. So it's like we spent a lot on Miss Elizabeth, and I know she's never gonna get her own documentary, and that was the only reason I was okay with it. I'm like, this is the only time they're ever gonna highlight Miss Elizabeth this much. Like,
if they didn't show Miss Elizabeth in the best light either.
But she deserved every light that she got, because Miss 100%. Elizabeth is a legend and a huge force that will always like be paramount to a woman's division.
Please don't look at it as they gave her a spotlight because there'll never be a documentary.
I don't think they would.
They gave her a spotlight because she was a huge part of.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm the first person to say the Macho Man character would never have worked without Miss Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Don't get me wrong.
That's what I'm like. She earned every bit of life.
Involved in the Macho Man things. But I do strongly believe like maybe the network, but they're not gonna. They don't even put her in the goddamn Hall of Fame. Like
Did she not? She didn't go on with Macho Man, did she?
No. And she probably won't for a while. It's
wasn't that like the moral thing? Because the overdose.
I don't know. Maybe it's a family thing too. I don't know.
Nobody care about that Hall of Fame. We good. We know.
Yeah.
We keep calling people Hall of Famers before
they're really picky and choosy of who they talk about and do specials on. Like the most Miss Elizabeth we got was from A&E and Dark Side of the Ring. Like, but other than that, yeah.
Can I just mention? I just now realized this whole time I've been trying to figure out what picture is that behind Britt. I knew it was a wrestling picture. She just so happened to move like the shadow moved, and so no, not that one, the other one, yeah. Kofi Kingston winning the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 2019.
Yes,
and it's signed.
People can see it.
Yeah, that is one incredible memorabilia, and yeah, just kudos to you. I just had to say that because just realized what it was, and I was like, my God.
I have this, and I have naked Charlotte Flair here because I do like a whole.
Where do you keep saying naked Charlotte Flair?
She's like right here.
Oh, your name. Oh, the name is yeah.
I mean, she's not all the way naked.
Oh, from
naked Charlotte Flair. Fair
yeah,
enough.
from the
For those of you guys watching on Patreon, you just saw naked Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
Now sign up to the Patreon.
It's just
Sports Illustrated.
I do tons of TV appearances that are just not wrestling related. And I'm like, oh, look, I'm on like Fox and Kofi's in the background. Like, I feel like these are the things people need to see, not like my John Cena collection.
Oh no. I insulted John Cena to another Cena fan.
I love Cena.
That's a topic maybe for next week, guys. Maybe we'll talk about John Cena next week.
She's a great person. She's an amazing person.
Last thing I want to say.
Did we just become best friends?
If you're a Macho Man fan, watch the documentary. All these people, because there's a lot of people that said that they don't want to watch it because they've heard a lot of negative responses. No, watch it. There is a lot to learn. You'll love the first hour. If you're a Macho Man fan, the second hour gets hard. The second hour gets hard to watch. That's all I'm saying.
For you, it's just
fuck
you.
Fuck Bubba the Love Sponge. And Bubba, if you listen to this, fuck you.
Fuck Terry Bollea. How about that? Huh?
However you feel, you say it, guys. Let it out. This is a TWC show. You know,
he let it out how he felt about
me. Everyone's always like, Justin, you're so neutral, you're so positive on your page. Fuck yeah, because too many people fucking follow me on there. You want the real honest opinion?
Can we just say this? I just want to put this out there. You have to be yourself. If any promotion's gonna hire you, they're gonna hire you because you're.
They know I am myself.
They're gonna, but like, don't be afraid to crap on anybody because that's the nature of it. That's just what it is. They're gonna hire you because you're about how you feel about QT Marshall, not because you talk happy about someone. If you can't criticize someone, then like that's not a good hire.
Oh, they know I'm criticizing. If they're listening, they know I'm criticizing. They see it. It's just I try to get other people's opinions more than give me my opinions sometimes, and I like to book shit.
We value your opinion.
Listen to the show, guys. This is where the money comes in. I don't make money off of Instagram. That's the other problem.
We need to change that, bro.
Last but not least, everybody wants things for free. I don't know what the fuck happened. Britt, where can they find you?
At it's Britt Waters, ITS BRIT Water with an S.
In the info and everything. Neesin, where can they find you?
You can find me at StayFlyLife on Instagram. Again, the DMs are open to healthy conversations about wrestling if you tend to choose to go otherwise.
Open.
Let me know where you stand on the Macho Man documentary. Do you agree with my standpoint, or are you with Britt and Neesin here? And I feel like if Britt wants to come back, maybe we'll have her back and maybe we'll do like a special episode and talk about the life and career of John Cena. I don't know.
Yes.
I'll come back anytime. You guys are great. I like it. You guys are fun.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. This was fun. I had a good time. We went way long, but that's okay because we can.
I think you missed your hair bleaching appointment.
I mean, I got a missed call, so I think I did. I might not get a haircut today, guys.
He's going blonde.
I think we're letting everything grow here. I don't know. Other than that, guys, keep doing the thing. You guys know where to find me, The Wrestling Classic, TWC Worldwide on Twitter. Follow the Patreon, subscribe to the TWC Show, check out the articles at 1:37 p.m. Casual conversations on YouTube. I've been trying to cut clips, like minute clips, to put them on YouTube so you guys can just get quick hits of parts of the interviews you might enjoy.
Are you on TikTok?
I am not. I have a TikTok. I don't TikTok though. Hit me up. We need to talk.
We're all on TikTok. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram.
I feel like you use TikTok, right? I don't use it.
Yeah, I used to. I
use TikTok.
And I really like your reels. Guys, follow Britt. Check out her reels. She gives her opinions.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I put stuff on TikTok that I like am too nervous to put on reels.
See, I need to get back into TikTok, but
so clearly the chemistry here is great because we can continue talking. You guys seem for like another half hour.
No, go blonde.
But we need to wrap
go blonde.
I gotta talk to you guys all next time. I'm looking forward to this week's A&E documentary on Booker T. Great story. We'll see what they added there on him. We'll see what dirt we get on Booker. So we're getting dirt.
You're gonna talk about him going to jail. You know it's gonna be a good story. Come on.
We already know that. I want new dirt. Then if we're getting new dirt from everybody, I want new dirt on everyone. Other than that, guys.
What new dirt did Macho? I'm done.
Let him have it. Let him have it.
Let me have it. The camera fell. That's a wrap. Ooh, yeah. She's fired up.